Emmy Noether's 1992 paper, Idealtheorie in Ringbereichen, or Idealtheorie in ring domains, represents a watershed moment in the development of abstract algebra. It provided a powerful, unifying framework for understanding ideal theory, moving it beyond the specific context of algebraic number theory, where it originated, to a much broader and more abstract setting of commutative rings. This work was far more than a mere generalization. It fundamentally reshaped the landscape of algebra, paving the way for the modern understanding of rings, ideals, and their applications in diverse areas of mathematics. The conceptual genesis of Noether's work lay in the fertile ground of 19th and early 20th century number theory. Mathematicians, including Ernst Kummer and Richard Dedekind, grappled with the failure of unique factorization in certain rings of algebraic integers. Kummer's work on Fermat's last theorem led him to introduce ideal numbers to restore a form of unique factorization. Dedekind later refined this concept, replacing Kummer's somewhat mysterious ideal numbers with concrete sets of algebraic integers he termed ideals. These ideals, subsets for ring closed under addition and absorption of ring elements, allowed Dedekind to prove unique factorization of ideals in Dedekind domains. Notably, the rings integers of algebraic number fields, that rings could be factored into products of prime ideals, provided a powerful algebraic simplification. However, Dedekind's approach, while revolutionary, remained deeply rooted in the context of algebraic numbers. The question arose whether analogous structures and results could exist in broader algebraic settings. David Hilbert's work on invariant theory, concerning the polynomial equations unchanged by certain transformations, also provided important context. Hilbert's basis theorem demonstrated that every ideal in a polynomial ring over a field is finitely generated, a result later understood as a consequence of the ring's Noetherian property, a crucial concept Noether would later formalize. Hilbert's emphasis on axiomatization and abstraction further influenced the direction of mathematical research at the time. Noether's Idealtheorie in Ringbereichen tackled these challenges head-on. The paper's primary contribution was to develop a purely axiomatic theory of ideals within arbitrary commutative rings. Rather than focusing on specific examples like algebraic integers, Noether identified the essential properties which allowed ideal theory to flourish. She introduced key concepts like ascending chain condition for ideals, now known as the Noetherian condition, and demonstrated its profound implications for the structure of ideals in rings. A ring satisfying the Noetherian condition, a Noetherian ring, possesses the property that every ascending chain of ideals eventually stabilizes, meaning the chain contains a maximum element. This condition, seemingly technical, ensured that ideals in Noetherian rings are finitely generated. Every ideal contains a finite set of prime ideals whose product is contained, a property known as the Lasker-Noether theorem, generalized by Noether from its initial formulation by Emanuel Lasker for polynomial rings, is a centerpiece of the paper. It states that every ideal in a Noetherian ring can be represented as a finite intersection of primary ideals, where a primary ideal is one in which, if a product of elements belongs to the ideal, then at least one of the elements, or some power of it, also belongs to the ideal. This decomposition, analogous to the prime factorization of integers, provides a fundamental structural result for ideals in a wide class of rings. Consider an ideal inside a Noetherian ring. Repeatedly find all the prime ideals that contain the ideal. In some sense, these prime ideals define the ideal. The Lasker-Noether theorem says that the ideal decomposes into primary components, which are then determined by those prime ideals. The impact of Noether's work was immediate and transformative. Abstract framework provided a powerful lens through which to view and understand various algebraic structures. It unified seemingly disparate results from number theory, algebraic geometry, and invariant theory under a common conceptual umbrella. The notion of a Noetherian ring quickly became a central object of study in commutative algebra, influencing subsequent research on polynomial rings, algebraic varieties, and module theory. One specific, direct application of Noether's ideal theory was in the simplification and generalization of algebraic geometry. In the early 20th century, algebraic geometry relied heavily on intricate computations involving polynomial equations. Noether's abstract approach, emphasizing the structural properties of rings and ideals, allowed algebraic geometers to replace such calculations with more conceptual arguments. For example, the dimension of an algebraic variety, originally defined in terms of geometric intuition, could now be understood algebraically as the Krull dimension of the corresponding coordinate ring, the maximal length of a chain of prime ideals in the ring. Similarly, the properties of singularities on algebraic curves and surfaces could be studied systematically using the ideal theory of local rings, rings formed by taking fractions where the denominator is outside a prime. The subsequent development of commutative algebra owes an enormous debt to Noether's influence. Her student, Wolfgang Krull, further developed the theory of commutative rings, introducing concepts like Krull dimension and localization. Oskar Zariski, another prominent figure in algebraic geometry, applied Noether's ideas extensively in his work on resolution of singularities. Grothendieck's revolutionary approach to algebraic geometry, based on the language of category theory and scheme theory, built directly upon the foundations laid by Noether, Krull, and Zariski. The impact is that modern algebraic geometry is inconceivable without Noether's work. Of course, Noether's work was not without its initial detractors. The level of abstraction in Idealtheorie and Ringbereichen initially perplexed some mathematicians who were accustomed to more concrete calculations. Our axiomatic approach demanded a shift in perspective, focusing on the essential properties of algebraic objects rather than on their specific representations. There were concerns about the practical value of such abstract theory. The initial response can even be described as bewilderment. However, the power and elegance of Noether's approach soon became apparent as mathematicians explored its implications and applied it to diverse problems. The initial skepticism gave way to widespread recognition. Emmy Noether became a leading figure in the development of modern algebra, influencing generations of mathematicians with her profound insights and her unwavering commitment to abstraction. The influence of Idealtheorie and Ringbereichen extends far beyond commutative algebra. The concepts and techniques developed in the paper found applications in various other areas of mathematics, including representation theory, homological algebra, and even theoretical physics. For example, the Noetherian condition plays a crucial role in the study of representations of finite groups. The theory of modules over Noetherian rings provides a powerful tool for understanding the structure of these representations. In theoretical physics, Noether's theorem, proof earlier but embodying a similar spirit of abstraction and generality, establishes a fundamental connection between symmetries and conservation laws. This theorem, which states that every continuous symmetry of a physical system corresponds to a conserved quantity, relies crucially on the variational calculus and the properties of differential equations, areas in which Noether also made significant contributions. The legacy of Emmy Noether's Idealtheorie in Ringbereichen is one of profound and lasting impact. It transformed the landscape of algebra, providing a unifying framework for understanding ideals in rings and inspiring countless mathematicians to pursue the path of abstraction and generalization. Her work stands as a testament to the power of abstract thought and its ability to illuminate the underlying structure of mathematical reality. Her contribution is not simply mathematical, though. She established a new way to study mathematical objects, and that, perhaps, constitutes her deepest legacy.